What's up, music fans of the internet? I am Kevin,
I'm Derek.
and together we are last week's album. And in this episode, we're talking about an album called Club Meds by Dan Mangan and Blacksmith. But before we jump in, we'll kick things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
And a little bit of background for you on the album. Dan Mangan is a Vancouver, Canada-based musician who's won a slew of awards, mostly in Canada. He started out as sort of an interesting singer-songwriter, but he's since become more experimental, and he added Blacksmith to the name to bring in his longtime collaborators on drums, guitar, and bass. Club Meds is his fourth album. The theme is sedation, and here's a quote from Mangan about the album. Unity in numbness is a facade and not nearly as magical as unity born of awakeness. So, there you have it, a little bit of background for you. Let's talk about what it sounds like. Derek, what do you think?
Kevin, I think Club Med sounds like The National accosted by Grizzly Bear in the tundra covered in maple syrup.
Awesome, awesome. I really like that. Very well put, Derek. I'm going to say this album sounds like Father John Misty, Ben Howard, and Poliça visiting a meditative vacation retreat. So imagine that, if you will. Let's talk about some key tracks. Derek, what are you picking?
Kevin, I'm going with 16, or as you and I kicked around earlier, XVI in its Roman numeral nomenclature, if you will.
Yeah, I appreciate your duality of understanding the title track there, Derek. I'm going to go with one called Vessel, which is actually the second, or II track on the album. I really like it for the piano beat hook that just kind of grabs you right from the start. It's got rackety percussion, kind of like an engine trying to start, and then pounding drums come in on top, layered voices, sort of call and response style, and this soft sort of pinging, whistling synth in the background. Some jittery, angular lead guitar jolts it into high gear, along with horns that sort of swell and then break apart, and then it all abruptly ends. And for me, everything about this track is very sort of stilted and shouldn't really smooth together, but it does so well. So definitely greater than the sum of its parts. Derek, tell us about XVI, or 16.
This one's really interesting. Kind of the lyrical story behind it really grabbed me. It's kind of told from the perspective of a Wall Street banker overlooking a crowd of Occupy Wall Street protesters, something along those lines. And the title of the track, 16, an allusion to Louis XVI, who was sitting on the throne of France before, well, at the time of the Revolution. So I think you might be able to call that the original hot seat, if you will, unbeknownst to him at the time. And this one starts off, it really builds musically to match the theme kind of going on here. It starts with this uneasy ambient sounds, somber acoustic guitar strums, and then this plodding cymbal-heavy drum beat kicks in. There are some strings, an emotive electric guitar flourishes, and some horns at the end. So it really builds slowly but very evenly and nicely. Just a lot of really interesting lyrics in here throughout. Just for example, like the market's middle child, we're not winning or losing, it's such sweet denial. I thought it was really interesting because he's not necessarily vilifying this guy, but taking an interesting look at the overall perspective. So I don't know, I really dug it, and the music really blended well with the lyrics here.
Yeah, Derek, you mentioned a great lyric from that song, so let's talk about best lyrics. What are you going to go with here? I'll put you first.
I'm actually going one from the same song, 16, and this is kind of one of the stronger one where he's really speaking to the crowd, and he says, "See, if you hate the man hates you too." So I just thought that really well brought together the point here. Makes you question where you are pointing your vitriol, if you will. Just one of many great lyrics throughout this album.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones on here. Made it very difficult to choose a best one. I like that one you chose, Derek. That was on my list as well. But I'm going to go with one from a track called Forgetery, which is a great line in and of itself as a title. But the line goes, "'Cause when I taste it, just one moment of truth, what I'm wishing would linger seems to leave me, and a fear that distraction ever near me, so I'm open and broken." I thought that was sort of perfectly, poignantly captures the overall feeling of this album. Growing is a constant process, not just learning, but also remembering what you've learned, which is sometimes the hardest part. So lots of great lyrical material as we have talked about. Let's talk about overall rating, though. Derek, what are you going to give it?
Kevin, I'm going big on this one. I'm going 5 out of 5. I thought it. Well, let me with the caveat of this is great listening while working. Don't throw this on at a party unless you want to make a party of one very quickly. Pros, great socially conscious lyrics, as I think you and I have alluded to. And another thing, I really thought that he, being Mangan and Blacksmith, they really melded the sounds and music with the lyrics very, very well. I was kind of alluding to this earlier, but in 16, the last line, the banker wonders aloud, "What's there to say? Let them eat cake." And it comes to a momentary stop before horns and some subtle strings carried off into this until the ending, which sonically is kind of a warm, peaceful conclusion, while the lyrics find no such resolution. So here, even while the two themes kind of contrast, I thought they contributed to the overall effectiveness together very well. The only con I can come up with is this, obviously kind of a challenging listen. There's a lot of depth and complexity here, but it's rewarding if you give it time. So even in my one con, it's still kind of a pro, just underneath a thin veil of mystery.
Sure. I agree with you. It is a great album. I, however, am going to give it a 4 out of 5. A lot of the same pros that you had, Derek. I think they span various tempos and topics, all in a very unique style. Sort of hallmark here is like quirky, upbeat music with these sort of laid-back, understated vocals, and ultimately creates these really heady vibes. To me, I thought it wasn't just an album. This is like an artistic statement. It's deep and thought-provoking. You've got to be in the right headspace to listen to it, as Derek mentioned. Otherwise, you'll sort of miss the depth and probably just walk away feeling sad instead of sort of moved. So if you like thought-provoking art, this is definitely an album for you. The only con in my book is that while the tracks are all very different, the sort of weight and production of the album seem to sort of steal the show. And make some of the songs a little indistinguishable at times. So a little bit soupy, I guess you could say, in a couple of areas. But overall, an amazing, amazing album. 4 out of 5 for myself. 5 out of 5 from Derek means you should definitely check this one out. That is a 9 out of 10, if you can add. And plus is in their title, so I'm pretty sure Dan Mangan and Blacksmith can. There you have it, guys. We hope you enjoyed this review. Would love to hear what you think about it. And don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube for new reviews every week. So, as always, I'm Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And we are last week's album. See you next time, guys.